Hello, welcome back to How to Hunter. Today we're on Elegon. We are doing things out of order, but this is a fight I know a lot of people are getting stuck on with their guilds, and so we'll see if we can help you out with that. Now throughout this video you're going to see me using Ice Trap a lot, and that's because I'm a bit of a noob, and I thought that the glyph of no escape worked exactly the same way as point of no escape, the 4.3 survival talent, which would work on ice traps. It actually doesn't work like that at all. That's just me misreading the glyph. So if you're wondering why I'm doing that, that's why. I'm an idiot. I'm not going to be doing that on videos recorded after this. Right, I'm going to do this video a little bit different to every other guide to Elegon that I've seen, because I think this will probably be more useful to you approaching this boss than every other guide out there, because they don't really teach you what you need to know. So we will go through what each of the abilities are. We're going to just brush over those. This is really from a range DPS point of view, but also I'm going to tell you the things that as a guild you need to get absolutely 100% right, otherwise you're going to fail at this boss. And that's because this boss is just so unforgiving. Equally, that's what makes this boss so amazing. Right, so at the start of the fight, when you've cleared the trash, you're going to be facing Elegon. We're starting on the far side of the platform here, and like I said, we've got this hole, we've got the platform. When we stand on the platform, we're going to get two different debuffs on us. The first one is a debuff called Overcharged. It's going to stack, and it stacks every couple of seconds. Exposure to Energy Vortex increases damage taken by 5%. And the second debuff is actually a buff. Touch of the Titans. Contact with the Energy Vortex increases damage inflicted by 50% and healing received by 50%. Okay, this is really important. You're going to need to stand on this platform and get that DPS increase as much as you possibly can. To clear the debuffs, we just need to get off of the platform. So that could be you walk off the platform, or if you're positioned right at the very edge, you'll find that if you do a jump, you'll jump off of the thing that's giving you the debuffs and it'll get cleared. So tip number one, at the start of the fight, position yourself in a place where you can jump to clear the debuffs. It's just going to save you a bit of hassle. Okay, the first phase, we're going to start attacking Elegon. Your tank is going to face Elegon away from the ranged and the healers, and we're going to get these adds that are spawned from time to time. They're called Celestial Protectors, and really let your tanks deal with the mechanics surrounding them. We don't really need to know them as a ranged DPS, but what you do need to know is that they must die off of the platform if you're going to have any chance, especially later on in the fight. Now, they do damage when they die. And that's important to know because obviously you've got the stacking debuff, which is increasing the amount of damage you take. You don't ever really want to let that get above 8, but you also want to clear it before you're ever going to take any damage. So before the Celestial Protector dies, make sure you jump or get off the platform to clear those stacks, and then just continue DPSing the boss the entire time. Right, phase 1. You really want only 3 of those Celestial Protectors, and this is kind of important. This was the first sticking point for our progression, was that we'd often find we'd get the boss to 85%, that's where it transitions into phase 2, whilst we had a Celestial Protector up, and that's really gonna scupper your plans. So if you're approaching 85% with the boss and you've either got a Celestial Protector up or a Celestial Protector is just about to spawn, then stop DPS on the boss, get the Celestial Protector down, then push the boss into the phase transition. Now at this point he's going to go into a draw power mode. It's going to last for a little while whilst he just sits there doing absolutely nothing. However, this is really giving you time to get into position for phase 2, and in phase 2 what he's going to do is he's going to send out adds from the centre to each of the 6 nipples around the outside. They're called energy charges, and each time he does that he's going to give himself a buff which is going to increase the amount of damage that Elegon takes by 5%. So your DPS and your tanks are going to split up to try and get each one of these 6 energy charges down, and after each cycle Elegon's going to spawn another 6. Here we go, he's on the second one, and each time he spawns those he's going to get that damage taken buff. You don't have to get them down, but he's still going to increase the stack each time. The other thing to note here is that when you kill an energy charge it will do some damage, so clear your damage stacks by getting off of the platform. Now you really want to be looking at getting 5 or more stacks here. It does get increasingly difficult though, because with each series of energy charges that you kill, the next set will have a speed increase of 20%, so they will get gradually quicker to the point where you can't take it anymore. So really what you want to be doing is getting 4 of those down, then on the 5th one you just attack the boss, because you've got 5 stacks, it's a 25% damage increase. If you can do more than 5, brilliant, it's only going to make the final phase easier. Once any one of the energy charges gets back to their Imperial focuses on the outer edge, we're going to go into phase 3, and in phase 3 there's a couple of important things you need to know. The first one, look at the energy beams going across the hole. They're linking Imperial focuses from one side to the other, and you can't get an Imperial focus down and the energy wall coming out from it until both sides are down. This was a bit confusing for us at first because the Imperial focus doesn't die, you can continue to hit it once its energy hits 0. So that did confuse us for a little while. What you need to do is just stop hitting it and move on to the next one. During this phase we've also got energy cascades being created by Elegon. They're the little blue pools of, they look like water on the floor, and they will very nearly one-shot you at this point, so always make sure to get out of those. When they land they're going to create a cosmic spark mob. They don't hit particularly hard, they don't have a massive amount of health, but the quicker you get all of the Imperial focuses down, the less of those ads you're going to have to deal with. Once all the Imperial focuses are down, we're going to get the shield come back up. At this point you really want to get back on the shield and you want to start burning down those cosmic sparks. Now we were getting quite a lot, to be fair. I think our single target damage on the Imperial focuses was pretty low, and as a result we had quite a lot of the cosmic sparks to deal with on the phase transition. But with decent AoE that shouldn't be a problem, and at that point we're just going to go back to phase 1. It's exactly the same, but of course we now have our stacks of draw power. For us it was 5 at this point, so that's 25% increased DPS. So we're going to go through phases 1, 2 and 3 again. This time instead of 85% we're going to get the transitions from phase 1 to 2 at 50%. When we reset back to phase 1 for the 3rd time we're going to get this ring around the outside. That does damage, stay out of that basically. That's my only tip there. You can reset your stacks as normal though. If you get around the edge you can still jump to clear it. Right then, let's talk about maximising DPS. Elegon is a very tight fight the first time you're going through it from a DPS point of view. The Berserk timer will probably have you bashing your heads against the wall, but really it's all down to the second phase. As a guild, you really need to be super efficient at getting those energy charges down. As a hunter, you really need to be taking one of those down on your own, and where possible helping out your teammates to get theirs down as well. For me, Beastmaster just wasn't cutting it. I don't know why. I think it was to do with target swapping from Elegon to the energy charges, but it just didn't feel good enough. So I'm going to talk through the spec and how I personally went about dealing with those energy charges, because it, like I say, is key, it is fundamental. So here's the talent spec I ran with. Key points of interest are at level 60 we've got Thrill of the Hunt, which is essentially just going to give us free arcane shots, and it gives us those really rather regularly. At level 75 I'm running with Blink Strike. For me, I actually prefer Blink Strike. It's an instant change of target for your pet. It's on a short cooldown, and I think it does more damage than Link's Rush personally. And at level 90 I'm using Glaive Toss, again quite a short cooldown. Glaive Toss and Blink Strike are on about the same cooldown as the duration between the energy charges, so that's pretty good. We can use those pretty much every single time we get an energy charge. Not quite, but it's about that. Now, having spoken with the rest of our raid team, we were all thinking pretty much the same thing, is you can't go all out with every single cooldown on every single energy charge, because what that's going to do is after like 2 or 3 you're just going to have absolutely nothing to go with, and an energy charge is going to get through. So what I'm trying to do is I'm still targeting Elegon when an energy charge spawns, and I'm using Glaive Toss to hit them both. Then if Blink Strike is up, I'm going to use that to immediately swap targets with my pet. And at this point we've probably got Thrill of the Hunt proccing. It just seems to proc all the time, and in fairness, with Thrill of the Hunt and Lock and Load, Explosive Shot and free arcane shots, we're just going to be able to take those energy charges down super easy. And because they are all the time, they're free procs on Explosive Shot and Arcane Shot, you can very quickly help out your teammates either side. If they call for it, of course. They probably won't, because your teammates are awesome like mine. So if you look at what I'm actually using here for these energy charges, it's pretty much Serpent Sting on the boss, black arrow on the boss. When an energy charge spawns, we're using glaive toss. Then we're swapping immediately to the energy charge. If blink strike is off cooldown, we're using blink strike. Otherwise, we're using our free arcane shots and free lock and load procs on that. If we're struggling, we may even have to use kill shot, but most of the time I'm not even having to use that. It's pretty awesome. That's kind of my fallback if I start to struggle. Once the energy charge is down, we're going to go straight back to the boss, re-proc black arrow if it's off cooldown. At this point, serpent sting shouldn't have come off cooldown on the boss, so we're just going to use cobra shot to proc that further and get our focus back in time for the next energy charge. By which point either glaive toss or blink strike are going to be off cooldown, and we're probably just going to use one of those, and arcane shots and explosive shots for the rest. We're going to use our focus up at that point using arcane shots, but it's enough. It's more than enough to get those energy charges down each time. Okay, as a guild you should have really agreed how many of those energy charges you're actually going to try and take down. Like I said, on the first attempt 5 is a good number. On the second attempt 4 is a more realistic number. Into phase 3, now if you're really cocky you can stand on the platform for a little bit longer to get additional DPS on the Imperial focuses, but what I found was that you don't need to do that. That isn't an absolute must unless you're trying to be cocky with the meters. But also the timings of when the shield will disappear is very inconsistent. So one time you may get 8-9 seconds to stand on the shield, and the next time you may get 2 seconds. So it's very inconsistent, and like I say, you shouldn't need to stand on that shield for the start of phase 3. There may be something I'm missing there with how that timing works, but I couldn't see it, and boss mods was just confusing the matter somewhat. Okay, so in the third phase you really need to be watching out for the cosmic sparks and the puddles that they spawn in. Like I mentioned earlier, they will practically one-shot you, so keep your eyes open. If you keep moving, that's one way you can just avoid that. Obviously they're going to spawn in locations of players, so if you're moving you're always going to be consistently moving out of them. So at the phase 3 to 1 transition, we all grouped up at the start, and of course we're going to get to these cosmic sparks spawning right on top of us. That's probably going to kill your pet, as it does to mine right just there in fact. So a couple of things: use Kara, macro in Kara if you can, or dismiss your pet if you really want. The cosmic sparks can actually be slowed and stunned, so I'm actually using, on the level 30 talent tier, I'm using binding shot to stun all of those in place on top of my trap whilst I multi-shot them. That's good for 2 reasons. The slow, or the stun and then the slow, is going to keep them off of people. And of course, because they're all stuck together through binding shot, we're going to be able to multi-shot hopefully all of them, which is going to, as you can see there, it's just absolutely spanked my DPS to the top of the charts. That's how you want to do it. Later in the fight, I actually kind of screw that up. My pet dies and I can't revive him quickly enough. I didn't use Cower, so like I say, Cower's a really good little tip there. So the last phase is very similar to the first phase, except we're not going to get the additional ads spawning, but we do have this energy field around the outside. That's just basically to stop you being outside of the shield. I don't know why you would want to be, but there you go. Because of the draw power stacks now on the boss, you should have hopefully 9 or more. We're probably going to call for a bloodlust / heroism at this point, so pop any additional cooldowns you've got. Save your flasks for this point. Save your stampede for this point, if you've got pets up of course. And hopefully at this point, if you've got to this point and you've got 9 stacks of draw power, it should be in the bag. Unless you're hitting the enrage time, in which case, try again. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Elegon. It's been quite a long video. We're at nearly 15 minutes already. So hopefully I've kind of cleared some of the things up that are really important to you as a hunter or ranged DPS on this fight that you've not seen in other guide videos. As always, if you've got any comments or feedback or even tips for improvement, drop them in the comment field below, and best of luck with you and your guild on this fight. It's probably it's definitely the hardest fight in Mogu'shan Vaults normal. I can't wait to try this on heroic. Yeah, best of luck to you and your guild. Okay, the only thing left to say is apologies for my voice. It's very croaky, I'm bunged up, but this video needs to go out. I really want to see you guys get more boss kills on Elegon. It's such a great fight. The trash leading up to Elegon, however, is an absolute pain in the ass and is actually harder than some of the bosses in Mogu'shan Vaults on normal mode. You do have to kill the trash, before you can start the encounter, and the trash will respawn after about 2 hours, so you're probably going to hit that when you're progressing on this boss. However, if you've got a rogue in your team, you can actually just bypass the trash on respawn completely, and you're not going to pull it when you're on the fight. Little tip there for you, that might save you, well, a couple of wipes at least. It's an absolute raid killer, that trash. It needs to be nerfed, and nerfed soon, basically. Okay, that's it for now. Join me next time when we're going to be going through the rest of the bosses in Mogu'shan Vaults. If you found this guide useful, as always, give me a thumbs up or comment in the section below, and see you next time.